If you think getting organized is difficult, what if you had ADD? We'll find out how you deal with that on today's Keeping You Organized. Well, today on Keeping You Organized, we have Ellen DeLapp from professional-organizer.com. I want to make sure I get that dash in the middle. She comes to us from Houston. Ellen, welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to share some organizing ideas with you. Thank you.
And I know we have a lot to talk about, but one of your strong suits is dealing with ADD clients. And, you know, I think getting organized in general is kind of a difficult task, but how about dealing with someone who's ADD? What are kind of some of the first steps you go through with a new client when you discover that they're ADD, and how do you approach it?
Well, I love my ADD clients. They're most resourceful, intelligent, creative people. And so from the get-go, we're really trying to get on their page, like what's most challenging to them, and kind of sort through where those challenges get started. So I use more of a coaching modality with my clients. So from there, we start going into some very specific things. A lot of times we're working with paper. Paper is one of the most challenging things my clients face. And as a result, we're going to create a process that works for them, use their strengths, and then help them create routines that will help them follow through.
Well, let's get into some little definition of what is or who is someone who's ADD. How does that get defined? How big of a population is there, you know, as percentage of the population? Because, you know, I think that term gets thrown around a lot. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that get diagnosed with it who aren't, but there definitely are a lot. From your background, kind of what are some of the stats on ADD?
Well, statistically, it's 7 to 10% of the population. But from the beginning of my calling as a professional organizer, over 90% of my clients were either diagnosed or self-diagnosed with ADD. And some of the challenges they faced was just getting started with any task, finishing any task, having a high level of perfectionism. So I found this in many of the women that I work with that were undiagnosed in their youth. They later became knowledgeable about it because one of their children was diagnosed. So I find it has to do with executive function, the way your brain works, and it's just a style of thing, helping them, use their strengths to do their best job at some of the things that are challenges to them.
Well, now you're a certified professional organizer. You've been in the organizing business how many years?
Since 2000.
Okay. How did you get into this ADD specialty with your practice?
Well, I started in 2000 thinking about how I'm a born organized, so it was so natural for me to go into this profession. But right away, many of my clients were exhibiting some of the same symptoms, and right away I was drawn to a group called the Institute for Challenging Disorganization to learn more about how I could help them, and I've learned so much from that organization and earned certificates of study through them as well. And so from the beginning, it was just a calling to meet with these people. Many of them are women, like I mentioned, that were undiagnosed in earlier times, but also that caused me to branch out my organization to working with families and working with students. Sometimes I'll work with the son, the daughter, the mom, and the dad individually. Then I'll work together with them as a group. And so it's a very big picture thought that we're going through. How do things run smoothly in their home? Mm-hmm. Where does paper or other things, scheduling, time management, all those kind of things that challenge families and individuals globally are big challenges for people with ADD.
Now, you said earlier that paper management is one of the big issues, and I think that's a big issue for a lot of people. What are some of the specific ways that you take paper management to someone with ADD, and how do you get their hands around it?
Well, we start off by trying to get them from that sense of being paralyzed and overwhelmed into something manageable and breaking it down to baby steps. So I have a philosophy, and I call it paper triage as opposed to only handle it once, because many people are familiar with that, but it's unavoidable that we're incapable of doing that. We have so much going on. So by breaking it into baby steps, into much more manageable chunks, creating a system that can be either like some kind of sorter, some kind of wall pocket. So right away that we're making it more powerful for them just to have a strategy to deal with paper.
Is there a certain area maybe in the house you would start first, or maybe in the office that you see a commonality among those with ADD that gets the most disorganized?
Well, it's really papers everywhere. There's no one home for it. So by creating a slot in the kitchen, and I call it the command center, so people know right away it comes into this spot. So it may not necessarily get much farther, but it's just kind of everywhere. Creating a spot that is specifically for paper, that holds it for them till they're ready to use it, and then moving on to the files where we and generally create categories and create a uniform system that they can really work with, and then creating strategies like when are we going to get to our paper and how are we going to deal with it and how are we going to make it a little more fun, because it's just such a onerous situation for them. So
well, what about like the follow-up? So say you get in and you help someone kind of get control of their paperwork, maybe you develop the system. Do you recommend a frequent kind of follow-up to make sure they're staying on track, or how do you approach that?
Well, many of my clients, by the time we've broken it down into more manageable sections, they're very good about getting their paperwork and following through. Some of my clients I meet with on a very regular basis, and we set up the routine so that I bring consistency to their paperwork. But generally speaking, it's about a 50-50 percentage where people can really handle their papers on their own after we're done. We call it transference of skill in our industry.
Great. Yeah, and some people will have maybe an acronym for sorting. Do you have anything like that you kind of follow, or do you use the same system for everybody?
We really try to just break through, like, what do we really need to keep right now? That's the most overwhelming part. Everyone seems to keep too much information. It's all sorts of information that they can gather in other places. And then we try to be strategic about how they are keeping the information that they want, such as the tools like Evernote or just a really cute notebook. And I like to say cute counts, because when it comes to organizing products, you'll be a lot more organized if you love your products.
That's right. My daughters are like that. The notebook has to be cute, right?
Yes.
It's important.
Yes.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, you did get in organizing as a certified professional organizer way back in 2000. What made you make the jump into that, and what did you do before that?
I was a teacher before that, and so I really think of organizing in the same way, that it's a transferable skill. And so none of us have really been taught how to do many of the things that we're expected to do, and we live in such a busy, crazy world now that it's of high value to be organized. So when I got started, I came from my background of teaching and just started with a variety of clients that were in small businesses. They were stay-at-home moms, a whole variety, and it just from word of mouth, it just became part of who I am. And so it's been quite a journey, and as people have learned more and more about our profession, it's really been awesome, because now it's not do you have one, it's who is your professional organizer.
Well, and talk about your involvement with NAIP, the National Association of Professional Organizers, and you've been involved there in Houston. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm very fortunate because we have a NAIP chapter in our city. It's NAIP Houston. And so if people are looking for organizers nationally, they can go to the NAIP site, which is naipo.net. Or if you live locally to Houston, you can go to naipohouston.com. And what I find is such an awesome part of our industry is it's very educational, it's very collegial, we support each other in what we're doing. And so it's just the community that we surround ourselves with that support us and make us successful.
Now, someone would think, well, you get together with other organizers. Aren't they competition? I mean, how do you work that out? Or is it really more of a collegial, we help each other out kind of relationship?
Well, we definitely help each other out and support each other, but we each have very specialized niches, like my ADD niche. And so when someone else is much more proficient at moving clients, I'd much rather refer them to someone who will do the job well for them. And each of us knows where our strengths lie. So as a result, we are able to be very collegial in our competition.
Right. Well, now back to the ADD. I feel like I'm ADD here. I'm going all over the place with questions. But did you get some special certifications specifically for organizing so that you can deal with ADD clients?
Yes, through the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, which goes by the ICD, which is an organization similar to NAIP, but much more research and special client based. I have 2 certificates of study, they're called. One is for ADD and one is for chronic disorganization. Chronic disorganization meaning people who are constantly challenged by organization, have never really felt good about the level of organization that they can achieve. And so in getting these certifications, kind of like the NAIP Certified Professional Organizer, you take a test. and you have a certain number of hours you're working with clients. So my clients often teach me things that are very applicable to other clients. And so I find that to be a really wonderful part of how we work together.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's a lot more I want to talk to you about. The first, I want to get into some of your recent organizing successes, and also about this certified family manager coach designation that you have and what all that means. So we'll do that when we come back with Ellen DeLapp from professional-organizer.com in just a moment. Do you need ideas on to-do lists, keeping focus, and filing information while on the go? The 100 Ideas for Better Organization ebook by Smead is sure to be a helpful tool for your organizing needs. Each idea is titled so you can quickly scan the book for whatever topic you may need to reference at the given time. With over 100 years in the organizing business, this free ebook will become a well-used resource and motivator for introducing ideas that boost your productivity. Get the 100 Ideas for Better Organization ebook by going to smead.com/100. Download yours now at smead.com/100. Smead, keeping you organized. We're back now on Keeping You Organized with Ellen DeLapp from professional-organizer.com in Houston, and also you do virtual organizing as well, so dealing with people all over the place. When we went into the break, I kind of talked about this designation that you have, which is the Certified Family Manager Coach. And you did allude to a little earlier about working with families, but tell us about that designation and what it means and how you use it in your practice.
Well, Family Manager Coaching, the certification's from Family Manager University. It's an online certificate. You take a test, you follow through modules, and what it focuses on is cohesiveness, building the family unit, being strategic about what you do as a family in terms of how do you get dinner done, some of the routines that go on, how are special events, friends and family, finances, all built into the global big picture of what we do as a family and a family unit. And so I've had that certification for a little over 3 years, and it has really empowered me to help families do their best and become much more team-oriented.
Well, let's put a face on that and maybe talk about one of your clients. You don't have to give a name or anything, but tell us about a family that you worked with, what their challenges were, and kind of your solution, how you overcame it.
Well, many of my families, I'll start with the students. I would also have a especially working with students with or without ADD. So I'll start working with them, helping them with their organization in terms of their planner, their papers, their backpack, their time management, getting things turned in on time. And so as I'm working with one or two students in a family, we might also go back to their room and get their room more organized so it's a little less chaotic in there. And then I'll work with the mom on what's her time management and how does she get things done and how can we have chores and responsibilities that all the family members buy into. And then I might work with the dad on let's getting his papers in his office or his small business organized. And then we come back around to all of us working together in the garage, say. So it's a very big picture. It's a big part of what I do because families need sometimes just an outside voice to help them get on the right path and get all on the same page.
Well, let's talk about family time management, and what kind of tools do you use, or maybe tips or systems that help a family with time management? Is it simply just putting the calendar up and making sure everybody has a spot, or do you have more than that?
I'm a big believer in the family meeting, and it's the time when we all gather once a week, just 30 quick minutes where everybody brings their planner, and we also use either a month at a glance paper planner, or a lot of people are using Google Calendar now, and that they can print that once they've updated it. So during the family meeting, which should occur sometimes over the weekend, but sometimes during the week, it's really important to pick the best time to have your family meeting. Get together, everybody just kind of spill out what's going on, make a plan for like the next big family event that's coming up. It might be a holiday, it might be a birthday, it might be just it's soccer season, how crazy is it going to be, that kind of thing. Get things planted on the calendar and then have some family fun because there's very few sacred times that families get together and do something really simple like take a bike ride, throw a ball, watch a movie together. And so just by creating this cohesiveness, getting everybody on the same page so people are less stressed, people are feeling more aware, they feel more prepared. It's the first best step for families is the family meeting.
Well, and I suppose sometimes you have to bribe the kids there. You have, hey, we'll have donuts there if you come to the family meeting
Exactly.
or something like that. Have you ever, just out of curiosity, sat in on, like, maybe helped a family establish a family meeting and kind of were the third person there watching them or coaching them through that at all?
Absolutely, because again, in the families I work with, the parents are often ADD, and so they don't feel as competent necessarily in starting the agenda and talking about what are we going to talk about so things don't get really distracted and people leave the space without finishing what we set out to do. So definitely, I sit in on them and help facilitate them.
Well, what about now, and I asked this to a lot of our guests on this show, about kind of the transformation, and you've been a certified professional organizer for a long time, so you've kind of seen an era where it was predominantly paper, and now we're getting all kinds of digital apps and digital this, and how do you see the two either working together or replacing each other? What's your philosophy on that?
Well, most of my clients have their favorite apps. I was at a meeting last night speaking, and several people in the meeting mentioned what works really great for them. So I think people are doing a hybrid. They're using their smartphone and iPad to help them out in the technology that they find is trustworthy for them. And then I also find people are still drawn to paper. And so making just that paper list where you write it out can be very helpful to people, just clearing out their brain, prioritizing. And so what I find is taking whatever strengths you have and using them, finding tools that work best for you, and then going forth with that.
What are some of the apps that you're seeing out there right now that people are adopting? I know you talked about, Google Calendar, which is not necessarily an app. It is, a cloud-based thing. But what are some of the things you're seeing people use from an electronic basis?
Well, a lot of people really love the AnyList because you can make multiple lists. So then you can divide up your tasks, like who's going to what store and when are they going on the way home. Can you stop and get something? Mm-hmm. Another one that I love is just the Notes app that's built into the phone that looks like the little Post-it note.
Yep.
Another one that I love is Remember the Milk. So most of these are reminders, and so we just need some of those auditory signals to help us, as well as places that we can just put the things we're thinking and know that they're sitting there, so when we come back to them, we're ready to pick up from there and get going.
Well, let's talk about your own personal organization, kind of how you do it. Do you use a paper planner or digital? How do you kind of lay out your day and organize yourself?
I am a very paper-based person. I love the visual of it, and I'm kinesthetic, so I can write things down. But I also use the alarm on my phone when I'm switching tasks or something unusual might happen during the day that I need to be alerted to. My day is very routine. I'm a person of great consistency, I like to say. So I have a morning and an afternoon client, and then usually one student client in the evening. And then I'm also very good about delegating, which I think is a tool that's underused in families. Mm-hmm. So my husband and I coordinate the grocery shopping and some of the other responsibilities that we have.
Mm-hmm. Now, do your kids have ultra clean and organized rooms?
Well, I am very blessed. My kids are grown, and
okay.
They are awesomely organized parents.
Good.
So both of them are huge minimalists and just really prioritize what's important in their home and keep only what's valuable to them. And so as a result, my grandchildren are benefiting and living an organized lifestyle too.
So nobody is late for family meetings ever, or functions. Everyone's right on time.
We are actually a pretty timely group, but we do know that no one's perfect. So that we allow for that. Sometimes oops happens.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about future trends for organizing, or maybe even if there was a wish list, if there was some kind of app or some kind of tool available that maybe doesn't exist now, what would that look like?
I think it's really going to come down to consolidating information and how we can pull things together. So any tool that can bring together information is going to be valuable for people. Just having that one spot to look. I think a lot of people are going paperless, so there's a lot of things like Dropbox that you can access paper once it's been scanned. Mm-hmm. So I think we're moving in that direction.
Yeah. Are you using things like that for your own personal organizing too? I mean, like a scanner and a Dropbox function?
Yeah, I'm seeing more and more of that, and we are definitely moving that direction in our family too.
Well, let's talk just for a moment here. We're almost done about the kinds of work that you do, the kinds of clients that would be a good fit for you, and how people can get a hold of you.
Most people find me basically through my website, which is professional-organizer.com.
Okay.
But I'm also on Twitter as Texas Organizer. I'm on LinkedIn as Ellen DeLapp. I just started Google Plus, which I'm very excited about, as Ellen DeLapp. And so I'd love for people to start a conversation and get engaged with all the information. I have a blog that I write. So I'm always about sharing information so people can take one little nugget, one little baby step, and get started on their own. I do work virtually, which I love. People send me pictures, we Skype. And so it's really a great way to help people that don't have a local organizer near them, that they want to get started making a difference in their home or office.
Well, and it's great too that technology now has allowed us to leverage location, so you don't have to be in Houston, right? You can be anywhere, and you can help anyone anywhere, and that's one of the benefits of technology, I guess.
Oh, absolutely! It makes such a big difference because we can touch each other so much easier. It's a global world we live in.
Right, absolutely. Well, Ellen, thank you so much for joining us today. It's Ellen DeLapp, Certified Professional Organizer from professional-organizer.com, today on Keeping You Organized.